Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hello, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business today. And today we are speaking with Michelle Boule. She is a business and life coach who helps compassionate business owners and creative entrepreneurs all over the world clarify and manifest their visions. Welcome, Michelle, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So bring us up to speed. Tell us about you, how you got to be on this journey where you're at today. So give us a little bit of the backstory here.
Yeah, since I know your interest and your audience's interest in overcoming challenges and women who do that, that was something I started doing definitely, probably really early on, but in my teenage years, because I danced. I wanted to be a dancer and I kept getting injured. And then at 16, I hit a point where I was told, including by my parents, that I couldn't dance. I didn't have the body to do it. I should start looking for something else. And that was devastating to me. It also coincided with a very hard high school breakup. And I just went down. And it wasn't until college, I ended up at a university that I didn't even know had a really good dance program. And I started dancing again. And I had a teacher who said, I asked her if I could have a mid-semester meeting. And she said, "Why aren't you doing this?" And I was like, "Because I can't." And she was like, "But you're doing it." And, just to have that one person to see me in a different way, I went on to have a dance job before I graduated. I moved to New York a week after I graduated. I won awards. I've danced all over the world. I've choreographed and taught all over the world. And I take that same information into coaching my clients in the businesses that they're building or the relationships that they're trying to improve, whether it's with their partners or their kids, because there's more that's possible than we actually realize.
Yes. Yes. That's profound. And I think about a similar story with my daughter, just, being told, you don't have what it takes. Right. And I think that is so devastating and so disheartening. And that's a pretty powerful punch. And I think there's so many of us that are listening to this and thinking like, and what, maybe it's not dance, maybe it's not athleticism, but maybe it's somewhere else that someone outside of us told us we can't do it. We're not good enough. We're not built for it. We're not whatever. So what did you have to do to kind of dig down deep to kind of overcome that story?
At that time, I was just following my nose a little bit, and like, okay, listening a bit. I want this. Like, it wasn't like I was going home and writing, I want to be a dancer and, things like that. But I'll fast forward because I've had to go through similar things with my own business in that I reached a point where I was like, if I don't learn how to make more money, I'm going to be stuck here in this lifestyle that I have now, and it's not going to grow. And I don't think that's what I'm meant for. So I had to start studying. I got a great coach. In 6 months, 350%ed my income. I know percented is not a verb, but 10 times it, soon after that. And that was when I was like, this is a very different understanding about abundance, about how the universe works. And I had learned that also in energy medicine because I studied energy healing. I was doing it the whole time I was in New York, but I became certified as a practitioner in 2008. So I was seeing things that I was told were not possible. So then to bring that to understanding money in a different way was huge. And to then see like, oh, wow, I did that. Like, and then to study that and stay with the material and find good teachers and find a good community, because very quickly we will go back to what we've known and what we think is safe, because that whole new place of total abundance,
Yeah.
connection, joy, those things, if that's not familiar, you will resist tooth and nail. So I think it's really important to have someone around you that has done it and that can support you through that journey.
I agree with you. I think that's where coaching kind of gets a bad rap. It was really funny when I used to be a therapist for 25 years. And so when I started shifting and feeling called to go into this new career path with, coaching, everyone's like, why are you going to give up all your credentials, your licenses, your everything to do coaching? Because there's such a bad rap to it. And I think you're right. Like, you need to find the coaches that have been there, done that have created the six figures, high six figures, seven figures and beyond, and really are working the work and doing it and proving that it's possible, right? But I love what you said about energy, because I can talk about this topic all day long. And I think there's such power in, energy. And like you said, like around earning more, and I think sometimes, and I don't know that we've had this conversation in depth on here, around this idea of moving from a scarcity mindset into a place of abundance. Because when we tap into the universal laws, as you know, and many of the listeners know, it becomes so juicy, because we can really truly create the life that we live, and utilize I feel like it's free resources. I feel like it's because we're tapping into, the universal laws, right? So just to share a little bit about, kind of your own personal transformation from, going from that place, to a place of more of abundance, and like, yes, utilizing what you've been taught over the years to really create the life that you love.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're mentioning the universal laws, because they're universal, they're
Juicy.
tried and
I
true. we
know.
try we try to run the world in a different way from our own human laws, but it just doesn't work, and that's when we suffer. So, for myself, I had to believe in myself. When I had my first couple breakthroughs around finances and prosperity, I kept telling myself, no one's going to pay me that. And even especially because I worked with a lot of artists and dancers, and then I raised my price to something that I was scared of,
Mm,
and I believed wasn't possible. And then lo and behold, some part of me believed it enough. The first person who books a session with me at that price is a dancer. The second person is an independent filmmaker. And I was totally stoked to be supporting these artists. And then I had another person say, this is what I'm looking for. So I went to my coach and I was like, I think I might have said, oh, maybe I can refer him to my coach. And then I was like, wait a second, I can do this. And
yeah.
then that was my doorway. It was just believing in myself, knowing it was something I wanted, and then doing the best I could do, being the best I could be without overgiving, without, like being codependent with the people I was helping, because that's messy. I only know that because I've done it, and just full transparency.
Yeah.
um it's this work actually asks you to clean up a lot of patterns that are not only making oneself suffer, but all of humanity suffer.
Yeah.
So I think that there's something really incredible about stepping into this work with ethics and alignment, and you will I grow in ways that I did not foresee, but I want, now that that door is open, I want to keep stepping.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. And I feel like it becomes this, as we open that door to really this place of possibility, it just becomes really fun to play in this possibility. Right now, I'm getting ready to manifest something that is, I feel like, nearly impossible to create. But at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so possible. Right. And so it's just like I'm tapping into it and doing like, okay, like this is powerful. And I actually have some co-creators and co-manifestors with me, because it's like, we're pulling this and creating this, and it's just become so fun. And I just feel like it's like wherever your mind can create, and wherever your mind can take you to, like, let's see, like, let's play with this. what can we do and what can we create? It's a powerful place to be in. Um, so what are some of the things that you know, share with your clients to support them in, you know, making this transition, in stepping into this place of possibilities? Like what are some of the things that what are some of your principles or your philosophies that you help kind of guide folks to this place?
Yeah. So I always start with self-worth because that's a huge one, right? Like some people won't even invest in themselves because on some level they don't believe they're worth it. And I had to go through that myself when I made my first big investment in working with a coach. I literally was like, I just got duped. You know, I just like I made the payment and I was like, oh my God. And then actually when I went and started working, I was like, look at what I did. Like, you know, it was a total turnaround. And so I had to change my thinking around that. So
Yeah.
self-worth is huge because that will catch you. It'll drag you down faster than you realize. Um, you know, as we've been saying already, I think having an outside eye, being vulnerable about what's going on, noticing the stories you're telling yourself day in and day out, and learning how to change those as quickly as possible. And you know, one of the hugest things is consistency, because people get excited and they're like, "Oh my God, all gung ho! I learned these new things, universal laws. It's going to happen." And then something jumps in there and they
Yeah.
stop, and they don't even realize it because they're starting to rationalize in their mind why they should stop. And so what happens? Their dream goes down the toilet. They're not on track anymore. And the other thing that goes down the toilet is their confidence.
Yeah.
So even when I've struggled, I notice, you know, let's say, you know, as a coach, I never thought I'd have to be doing sales. I was like,
Right.
sales? I mean, I'd been doing them my whole adult life as a dancer, you know, quote unquote sales, but I didn't realize it. Um, so, you know, what can happen is a person's putting themselves out there and things are going wrong and they're not going well and their confidence gets shot. So that's the place where you can bring in those laws to change your thinking quickly, bring in the support, and just flood yourself with that information. Meditation is a huge tool. You know, like what do you start your day intending with? What do you end your day intending with? I don't even know if I'm saying that right. And then the other thing that is probably unique to me is I use movement, because I have 40 years of movement experience in my body, as a dancer. And so I have a practice called moving with innate wisdom. And that's something I do in my monthly subscription group, where we get to spend time, the people in the group, just like with our consciousness, with our awareness, being present with, listening to what's here, and also staying in a field of awareness that will help you embody the person you want to be, who can attract the things that you want, who, you know, whether that's again, money, relationships, more time. So it's, you know, I think a lot of times we can be inside of our thinking only, but our body's resisting, and the body is related to the subconscious mind. So that practice of being able to just be with all of this, I think through movement, through this practice, moving with innate wisdom, is huge.
Yeah, that is huge. And movement is the fastest way to shift anything, right? You know, shifting our feelings, shifting our emotions. I mean, it is the fastest way that that I have found to be the most effective. And I like what you said earlier is like, you know, just being tested. You know, we are going to be tested, and it doesn't have to take us off our journey. And once we realize that it's like, oh, become consciously aware of that things are going to come up and they're going to surprise us. And I feel like that's an opportunity for us to take a look and be like, okay, am I really committed to this? Am I really going to do the work to, you know, to go move through this resistance or move through this uncertainty or move through this self-doubt or whatever it is? Because I promise you, I feel like, and like with you in dance, I can relate a lot to this in the sense of like, there's this probably this knowing that's like, hey, I know I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. And maybe it's the business or it's whatever that might be, but it's like, this is just feeling into and trusting that I'm supposed to be guided. And I think sometimes our biggest hurdles come from that transformation of pushing through, of
Absolutely.
you know,
Yes.
that breakthrough that happens. And that, you know, if we tie into like the butterfly experience, you know, at some point, it was funny, I was on this call the other day and this lady said something about like, you know, I don't know what she said. She asked me about like, why do you think the butterfly is feeling this way? And I was like, well, because it's like, hello, did you just see what I went through? Like I liquefied myself and like I was scared and I didn't know what was going to happen. But yeah, this intuitive process in our innate knowing is like, we're going to be okay. We're going
Yeah.
to be okay on the other
I
side.
mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think nature even thinks about that stuff. Like
Right.
that's
Oh
the,
no, I don't. Yeah, there's no conscious thought of like, I'm doing this. Like
yeah. I
it's
mean, like
this
that's the,
evolutional process that is like probably well, I don't know, I can't really speak for the caterpillar and the butterfly, but it's probably like completely unconscious, right? It's just this like, this is the evolution,
yeah.
right?
I mean, as far as we know, we're the only species that can choose.
Yeah,
They're just following their DNA.
yeah,
The thing that there's the law of polarity. There's a good and bad to everything, right? Our ability to choose allows us to create more than the butterfly can create, or
yeah,
the flowers back there. However, it also allows us to create things that will hold us back. So I think that's just part of our evolution as a species. And I like what you were saying earlier about I don't know if you use the words control, but that's what popped into my mind. And we were talking about movement, because I've had to learn this myself. I have to walk people through it. And I studied
yeah.
it, for decades with dancing. The harder I tried, the less successful I was going to be. The more I was
Mm,
trying, like tensing around the outcome, it
mm,
just didn't work. I actually literally injured myself. And when I've done that in my business and when I see people do it in theirs, they don't make money. So, and I say that with like total, love and respect, because we have to go through those difficult times, and hopefully there's enough awareness to, instead of saying, I'm not meant to do this, say, okay, what else is possible? How can I learn how to move through this in a different way? Who can I bring in to help?
yeah,
And that even that can be an act of surrender. So you let
yeah.
something bigger take care of you.
Yes, I love it. That's beautiful. So let's, as we wrap up here, what is, a nugget, a tool, a strategy that you have used in your life that you have found just to be like one of your go-tos, like one of your secret sauces to go to when you're just in life in general, or you can apply it to your business or life in general.
Yeah, I mean, I always, self-care is huge. So that's like super tactical, just to have all of that set up, the ways I take care of myself, and to make sure I don't sacrifice that for the goals that I'm trying to accomplish. But also, I think maybe even more important, and one that I continue to just be amazed by, is how can this be easy? How can this be easy? And to just bring that into your life all day long, and see, when your brain starts to focus on something being easy, you start to recognize, the patterns where, and the opportunities where that's possible. But if someone's always like, oh my God, I'm going to fail, this is so hard,
Yeah.
it's like,
You
what is
bring
that
that
come?
energy in. Yeah.
It's
And
what
I
you
think
focus on grows.
Yeah. And I think that's so powerful because when we get into what you're talking about is the generative questions. And when we get into those generative questions and just putting it out there, like, how much better can this get and what else is possible? And, we get the brain, as like will pop in and it will start to find the evidence to support it. And it can be just simply like having the brain go do a job. Like, okay, let's go find how easy this can be. And it's so profound, and and it can start small. And as soon as you find that one thing, it's like, oh, okay, bring that into conscious awareness, and then it's another, and then it's another, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is really easy. Like, and you're absolutely right. I truly believe that we have this power of choice, and we can choose our realities. It's like those books, that we can choose those endings, and it's like, we can choose the hard route, we can choose the easy routes, and really it goes back into like, what are we willing to do? What are we willing to show up and receive? Because I think sometimes those stories in the back of our head that tell us that, I'm not good enough to receive this. It has to be hard, and it has to be a struggle, versus going from a place of ease and receiving.
Yeah. And
So
I want to say one more thing too, which I
yeah,
would say is even before all of this, is what do you want?
yeah,
Because a lot of times people won't even admit what they want, because we're conditioned to not want. And
Yeah.
that, like, once I started opening that door up, and it's a question I use all the time with my clients, that's when things start to change, because then you are aligned to your truth.
Yeah. And you're right. It's so funny that you say that because when I'm doing my initial phone intake calls with potential clients, I one of the questions I ask them is like, what is your desire? Like, what does your island be look like? And that is the toughest question that I ask them, because what happens is, and I don't know if you found this to be true too, is that they'll tell me everything that they don't want. Well, I know I don't want this. I know I don't want this, and that I don't. But I'm like, no, but no, what is it that you do? And so what tells me, like what you said, is we're focusing on what we don't want, which is actually what we're creating. Okay.
Exactly.
Versus actually, taking and asking, like, what do we desire? And
Mhm.
what is it that we are working towards? Because it's so much easier to kind of shift the train tracks, if you will, and get on the right train track if we know where we're heading, right? And so going back to the basics, like, what is it that you desire? And sometimes I think with folks that are kind of going through transitions at different parts of their life, those desires change over time. And so, being aware of when they change and how they change and what's important to you now is really key and vital. And so if I'm going to tell my listeners right now, if you have not really sat down, and what a great time of year, because by the time this airs, we're going to be right at the beginning of the year, and this is going to be at the best time to look at what is what is it that you desire? Where is it that you would like to see yourself, at the end of this year, this next year in 2022? And what does that look like? Because I think, like you said, like that's so key to know where you're heading.
Yeah, totally.
Michelle, this has been absolutely delightful. Thank you so much for coming on here. Where can people connect with you and find more about you?
Well, thank you for having me. People can find me at michelleboule.com. My name, it's Michelle with two L's, and Boule is B for boy, OULE.com. And once you go onto my website, you'll see a free audio that I offer to people called Realign Towards Your Dreams. And it combines some mindset, some meditation, and some movement. And I've been told by people, I mean, it's a practice that I do, but that they do it every day for 5 days or a week, and they're like, this has given me more than therapy. Just to, like, really start believing something different. So that's a great way to be in touch, or on Instagram, michelle.boule. Facebook, same thing. My name, Michelle Boule.
Excellent. We're going to go ahead and put that information down in the show notes. So be sure to go and check her out. Michelle, thank you so much. This has been absolutely delightful.
Thank you.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.